Today we're going to talk about chemical reaction types. This is a really important topic in chemistry in general. I mean, the whole point of chemistry is to talk about chemistry happening, which is chemical reactions. So in high school, you learn about 5 different types of chemical reactions. And, well, let's just get to it. I'll tell you those 5. And our goal is to learn to recognize these. Like if you look at a chemical equation, can you tell what type of chemical reaction it is? So 5 types. First one is called synthesis. There is decomposition. We've got single replacement and double replacement. And finally, there is combustion. Now, combustion, I'll start with that one. That's just a fancy word for fire. So, a fire is a type of chemical reaction, and that's one of the 5 main types we'll learn about. Okay? So what I'm going to do is show you some examples here to teach you how to recognize these 5. Now, synthesis, this is a word that we use in English fairly often as well. That's the noun version of it. The verb is to synthesize, and when you synthesize something, you take little pieces and you put them together to make something new. And that's exactly what happens in a synthesis reaction. So for example, here's a chemical reaction where we take some magnesium, that's a metal, and we're going to add some oxygen to it. So the plus means that we have 2 different chemicals, and then this arrow means that a chemical reaction happens. And after that chemical reaction, we have a new compound, and that compound is magnesium oxide. Okay, so the way we read this is we say magnesium and oxygen. Okay, I'm going to underline the and, that's the plus. And the arrow means that a reaction happens and it produces that new chemical, and in this case that's called magnesium oxide. Okay, so this is how you would read this in English. So back to synthesis. Notice we start with 2 different things, magnesium and oxygen. Those are the 2 pieces. The reaction puts them together, and after the reaction, you have one thing, one new compound, magnesium oxide. So we've synthesized, we've put things together. Okay. Now, the easiest way in my mind to remember the types of reactions is that they're kind of like relationships. This is kind of like 2 people getting married, right? You got 2 separate compounds, they come together, and now they're bonded together after the reaction. That's kind of like a marriage, okay? Synthesis. Well, with the chemical reactions, every little relationship analogy I can make, there's a chemical reaction for that. So we know that the opposite of marriage also happens, unfortunately, and that's divorce or a breakup. So here is an example of a chemical equation where we have a compound. We start with one compound. A reaction happens and it breaks up into 2 separate elements after that. This is a breakup. Okay? And in this case, a breakup is a decomposition. Okay, to decompose means to take apart. We're taking something that's bonded together, the water, and we're splitting it apart into the hydrogen and oxygen, just like a breakup. Okay. Let's keep going with these relationship analogies. Let's do our third type of reaction. So in this one, what we've started with is a single element plus a bonded compound. And then after the reaction, you see the hydrogen and the magnesium switched places. In the beginning, the magnesium was alone, and after the reaction, the hydrogen is alone. In the beginning, hydrogen is married to chlorine. After the reaction, magnesium is married to chlorine. Okay, so hydrogen and magnesium switched places. Pause the video and think about what kind of a relationship event would this correspond to. So assuming you've paused and thought about this, this is kind of like, hydrogen and chlorine are married, but they're not really satisfied. So chlorine leaves hydrogen and goes and gets married to magnesium. Okay? It's kind of like, it's a switch, right? Cl leaves H and goes to magnesium. Got a new partner, okay? This is called a single replacement reaction. To replace means to switch. And it's a single replacement because we have this single element here that is replacing hydrogen and now being married to chlorine, okay? Similarly, there is a double replacement. Here's an example of a double replacement, okay? So in this one, it's a little bit different. We have two bonded compounds, two married couples to begin with. In the last one, we had one element alone plus a married couple, a compound. But in this one, we have two compounds. They're both married. So if you have two married couples, and I know this is getting a little taboo here, but this is partner switch. You see in the beginning, lithium is married to sulfur, and magnesium is married to chlorine. After the reaction, now magnesium is married to sulfur, and lithium is married to chlorine. They switched. The magnesium and the lithium switched. Okay, that's a partner switch. That's called a double replacement. Finally, combustion. Combustion is special, okay? What we look for in combustion is oxygen, because every fire needs oxygen to burn, and every fire makes CO2 plus H2O. So this last chunk right here is the same in every combustion reaction, okay? Okay, so it's always going to be something plus oxygen produces CO2 plus H2O. Okay. Anytime you see that, that's a special reaction. You got to have a light bulb go off in your head that is combustion. Okay, and that's basically it. You're going to practice, do some assignments to try to learn to recognize these reactions. The name of the game is, like on a quiz or a test, I will give you a reaction like this one, and I want you to learn to recognize that, hey, this is O2 producing CO2 plus water. Oh yeah, that's combustion. And the answer to the question on the quiz would be combustion, right? What type of reaction is this? All the rest, just keep thinking about your relationships, right? You got weddings, you got breakups, you got one partner replacing another, or you can have two partners switching places. Finally, there's combustion, and that's it. That's all 5.